1977, a woman living next door to John Lennon is about to change everything we know about home cooking. She just doesn't know it yet. Her name is Sheila Lukins. She lives in the Dakota, one of the most famous buildings in New York City.
We've been cooking and planning parties together for more than 10 years.
She's been running a catering business out of her apartment, and Lennon helps her carry her food down the hall. This is the Upper West Side. Diane Keaton is filming Annie Hall around the corner. Nora Ephron lives in the neighborhood. And on Columbus Avenue, Sheila and her business partner, Julee Rosso, open this tiny gourmet pantry store so small you can barely fit inside. It's July 15th, the shop's opening night. The Philharmonic is playing a free concert in Central Park. It's 103 degrees, the air conditioning is broken, and the Silver Palate sells out of everything. And then they wrote a cookbook that changed the way North America thinks about food. It sold millions and millions of copies. If there were capers in your fridge growing up, this book is why. If your mom made pesto before you knew what pesto was, this book is why. This is Vintage Cookbooks. I'm going back to the books that changed how people cook and making their recipes today. Episode 1, The Silver Palate. This is my dad. He met my mother in theater school in Paris. We would spend our summers in the south of France where my mother's from. He loves to cook, and we would come back from a long swim in the Mediterranean Sea to a lunch of my dad's secret ratatouille leftovers. One of my favorite meals ever, and one of the few times when leftovers are better than the original. If you come from a French family, you know that ratatouille is a beautiful, simple dish, a collection of stewed vegetables made with love. Everyone should know how to make a good ratatouille. And then I'm going to show you my dad's trick with the leftovers. But first, let's make the Silver Palate's version. Ratatouille is a grouping of stewed late summer garden vegetables like zucchini, peppers, tomatoes, and eggplant. The traditional way of making this dish is to cook every vegetable separately. So when I read the instructions, I got a little nervous that it wasn't going to be traditional enough and that my French family would be insulted that I did this version. But you've got to trust the process here. I had fresh cherry tomatoes on hand, so I decided to add some in because I love the sweetness they can bring to this kind of dish. I feel like Sheila and Julee would approve. Usually, you'd use only fresh herbs in a ratatouille, but I love that they've used dried herbs here. They bring a little bit of depth. Eggplant can be a bit of a diva, and sometimes I struggle when I cook it, so I was relieved they have you roasted separately in the oven beforehand. Once you're done all the chopping, this recipe is pretty easy. The magic mostly happens in the pot while it simmers. I love to serve it as a side with lamb or sausages. I also really like this dish for when I'm hosting a vegetarian or vegan. You can serve it with polenta, pasta, mashed potatoes, or some crusty bread. But hold on a second. Remember how I said that the leftovers were the best way to eat this? Controversial opinion. I'm a huge fan of leftovers. The idea that you can take something that's already delicious and transform it into something completely different and maybe even better is why I love to cook. A ratatouille omelette is an example of when a leftover is better than the original. My dad didn't invent this dish. It's pretty common in France, but it has become a staple in my family. We go to France, we swim, we work up our appetites, and we make a ratatouille omelette. And I guess that's what cooking is all about. It's making traditions with the ones you love and finding comfort in knowing that you're part of something bigger than you. This omelette is bigger than me, or the sum of its parts, and I'll never forget all the memories that it holds. Also, it just tastes really good. As a French person who grew up with ratatouille, I see this book a little differently now. It's in many cases updating simple, fresh Mediterranean cooking, recipes that are simple enough that in the old world barely needed to be written down, and in a way that feels a bit silly. But in another way, their books were the reference books that got a lot of North Americans cooking with fresh herbs and ingredients, and that helped invent the North American foodie.
It's a style and philosophy.
The recipes still hold up. I mean, if you look at the quote on the back, it's from Julee, a child. And this is exactly what they were doing, bringing the love of food from Europe to the Americas. Anyway, my proudly French family own this American book, so you know that these recipes are the real deal. If this book isn't part of your family tradition, get yourself a copy. Tout de suite. I've started a collection of vintage cookbooks for this series in my search for the next one to show you, but do you have a favorite one that I should know about? Let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear your recommendation.
See how you